which I would never do, but I'm actually considering it because I do think it's very good. As we cut into this game, Braun-Duin at 5, Thompson at 19, and it looks like Gerry is very far ahead here.
Only 2 lands, but man, that is a lot of beaters.
Yeah, that's a Vendilion click on Gerry's draw step. Ancestral Visions, Liliana of the Veil, Sower Temptation, and a land. Gerry has a Deathrite Shaman, which can provide mana, large Tarmogoyfs, and we just walk into a concession here, so we're going to game 5.
Game 5. Right. Well,
okay.
This is, we get to take it from the top, which is what I want to do.
Okay. Well, let's take a look here. Let's take a look at the main decks. We can also bring up the sideboards on the screen, all that good stuff. Braun-Duin going to be up for game number 3. Break it down, Tommy.
Well, we got a little cheater's look there into Gerry's hand. We saw that Sower of Temptation drawn, so he boarded in Sower of Temptation. I have that much information. Other cards, he's probably bringing in that Hymn to Turok. Probably bringing in those Thought Seizes. He wants to be very disruptive to try to take Stoneforge Mystic and Dark Confidant out of Brian's hand before he has a chance to resolve those on turn 2. Cards that he might take out, Baleful Strix. Not sure he needs those here. Those seem like something that could get cut. Additionally, the Forcibles are probably going to go. Maelstrom Pulse probably wants to leave that in. One of the critical plays in the late game here is you pulse the Batterskull, making them bounce it, and then you Thought Seize it out of their hand. He probably wants to have that available to him. He's going to leave in that Maelstrom Pulse for that line. Here we see Brian, BBD head in hands, thinking through kind of does he want to be doing? What's the right sideboard plan? What's the right angle to take?
I think the other thing that he's probably thinking about as well is because Gerry has all these 2s and 1s in his sideboard and all these different things that he can do. He's probably thinking, what angle are you taking?
Right.
That's the hard part to figure out. Yeah, you can definitely tell he's sweating over this. It's also something to keep in mind. We talked about this, and we talk about it quite a bit. Up 2 games. Now we're going to game 5.
Yeah, pressure's on.
Yes.
The pressure's on here. Again, looking at other options Gerry has, it's possible Gerry actually is taking out Hymn to Turok this matchup. I remember talking to him about the bug decks a while ago, and I remember he was boarding Hymn to Turok out in a spot that surprised me. And I can honestly not remember which matchup it is, but it could be here, because he needs to make a lot of room. If he's bringing in Sowers, he's bringing in Thought Seizes. That's 4 cards right there. Could potentially bring in an extra Pulse even. BBD has a lot of problem permanents that you might want. That'd be 5 cards. And there's not a lot that's obviously wants to take out. 2 Baleful Strix, 3 Forcibles is 5, and go in there.
Now you see, I mean, you see Gerry's sideboard on the screen as well. You know the ways that he can, get those advantages with the Ancestral Visions and stuff like that. And we'll go over that. Now we see BBDs as well. And
yep.
I mean, he has, again, something that's kind of becoming commonplace, not just in Legacy, but in Magic overall. A bunch of 2s and 1s in his sideboard.
Right.
Keep the opponent off balance. What do you think comes in on this side?
So on this side, I mean, the Vendilion clicks are certainly going to come in. We actually saw him cast one there at the end of that game. I believe also the Counterspell could well come in, and the Disenchant. Excuse me, no, not the Disenchant. This is not an Esper Mirror.
No, we just saw a bunch of that.
Probably that Snapcaster Mage will come in, though. So Snapcaster Mage, potentially also some Supreme Verdicts. I think that Tarmogoyf can give him some problems. He may want an uncounterable answer to get rid of it. I could see maybe wanting 1 Supreme Verdict in his main deck, in his 60 cards for this matchup. He does not have as much to cut here, however. He does not have those Forcibles main for the obvious thing to take out. He could potentially be cutting Liliana of the Veil. I'm not sure how good that is, but I suspect it's pretty good. I think he wants it in. He could potentially be cutting some number of Swords to Plowshares. But again, those Goyfs and those Deathrite Shamans are very problematic. He needs to get those things off the table. So I think it's really challenging here for BBD to know what to take out in this matchup. I'm not sure where I would even start. But we do see, I mean, is game 5. They've had a chance now to test out a couple of different sideboard plans. They've been able to kind of configure and see what the other person is doing. So I suspect it's more than anything, it's about reacting to what you've seen so far. BBD has seen those Sower Temptations. He's going to leave in those Swords to Plowshares. Maybe more likely to bring in a Supreme Verdict in response to that. Gerry has probably seen whether or not there's Lilianas in the deck that can change what he's doing. A lot of directions this could go. And we see now presenting here for game 5.
One game.
One game
for the finals.
For half of all the marbles.
Who you got?
I mean, Gerry's won 2 of the 3 sideboarded games. He is on the draw. I think I'm going Gerry, but it's close.
Okay.
But Gerry knows this deck very, very well.
Yes, he does.
He's an exceptionally gifted player, and I think I'm going to give him a slight nod. And we do see a Maelstrom Pulse in his hand and a mulligan of 7 spells.
Yep. So
like I was saying, I think BBD is going to take this one down and advance to the finals.
Tom flip-flop Bartel. It's easy.
Flip-flop.
Yeah.
I was still finishing my thought before.
Oh, yes.
Gerry Thompson is an exceptionally skilled Magic player.
Yes, he is.
He knows his deck inside and out, but unfortunately just doesn't quite have enough cards in its hand to be a favorite in this matchup. Shuffle, shuffle. Gerry's staring right into our souls. This is creepy.
Yeah, this is kind of strange.
That was a little creepy. I felt like he was looking right through me.
So Gerry with a little mulligan to 6 cards. A deck that can certainly undo its mulligans. Any deck that has Ancestral Visions. You can take a mulligan. You don't want to take 2, but you can certainly take 1. Brainstorm also pretty good on doing mulligans.
Brainstorm's certainly effective, but again, what Brainstorm does best is it shuffles away your dead cards. When you have fewer cards in your hand to start with, you have fewer dead cards in your hand to shuffle away.
Absolutely.
Brainstorm, I think, not as good on the mulligans. Ancestral Visions, though, certainly exceptional at catching you up and even putting you ahead. I wonder if the presence of Ancestral Visions makes Brian's Liliana's worse. I still think that they're pretty good. I can't imagine him taking them out. The Edict is just too important to pick off those Deathrite Shamans. But Charlotte's Agent is a good kind of blocker for that. Gerry looking at his 6. We see a Nihil Spellbomb in his hand. Interesting. Not a card I maybe thought he'd bring in.
Maybe just want... Actually, yeah, I'm actually a little surprised too. Maybe wants to control Snapcaster Mage a little bit, control Deathrite Shaman, something of that nature. As you see, Braun-Duin is going to start off here with a Scrubland that he searches for with Flooded Strand. And either into a discard spell or a Deathrite Shaman.
I do think, Gerry has enough cards he can board out. He has these Baleful Strixes, these Force of Wills, and potentially maybe these Hymnotoroks that he could be taking out. Oh, and just hands it over. So let's get some information here.
Nihil Spellbomb, Brainstorm, Ancestral Vision, Abrupt Decay, and as you said, Tom, 1-lander and Underground Sea.
Probably take Ancestral Vision here.
Yeah, the matchup's going to go long. He can't close quickly.
Right.
I think that's
unless he has a counterspell, and typically, at most, he's going to have 1 counterspell in his deck at this point. I just don't want to let Gerry draw those 3 cards. That's how Gerry gets back in the game.
Yep, that's how he undoes a mulligan, and he is going to take that. Yeah. So let's see what Gerry's draw step is going to be.
Hoping for a land or another Ancestral Vision is probably for Gerry. Not what we wanted.
No. He's going to main phase. Okay, I thought maybe he might main phase Brainstorm, but it's just going to start with an Nihil Spellbomb. Braun-Duin draws a card. It is a Deathrite Shaman. You see another fetch land in his hand as well. He also has a Liliana of the Veil in his hand right now.
And an Umazawa's Jitte there. So, and a Swords of Blushers. A lot of action here.
And there is a Deathrite Shaman. He passes the turn back. Gerry's going to untap. He's
really
wants
to land here.
That's a Jason the Mind Sculptor.
Unfortunate. He really wanted to be able to Abrupt Decay that Deathrite Shaman.
Now he really wants a fetch land. Okay.
He finds one.
Delta, Wasteland, and Maelstrom Pulse. Pretty good Brainstorm.
Pretty good Brainstorm. We might even see Gerry here use that Wasteland to keep Brian off of Jace mana. Although maybe he's not that afraid of Jace because of that Maelstrom Pulse, so she can take care of it. That's definitely a consideration here. Definitely a tough spot here for Gerry. I'm very interested to see what line he wants to take with this turn.
This is a pretty crucial Brainstorm. Again, Brainstorm is the kind of card who sets up the next, the second and third and fourth turn of the game for him.
I think it's risky to get rid of this Maelstrom Pulse right now because he doesn't know what BBD is going to have in store, and BBD could have 4 mana on his next turn.
Could have a Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Right. So I think you need to either Wasteland the Scrubland, or you need to keep the Maelstrom Pulse around.
He does keep the Maelstrom Pulse around. He does play Polluted Delta and passes the turn back. He does keep the Wasteland as well. So his hand is Jace the Mind Sculptor, Maelstrom Pulse, Wasteland, and another Brainstorm.
And here, BBD peeling another land right off the top. Probably going to see him just cast his Liliana is my guess. He does have 2 of them in his hand. That land was certainly a good draw for him.
Yeah.
Gerry, however, with those 2 Abrupt Decays on top of his library, has answers.
Maybe Gerry doesn't sacrifice the Polluted Delta. You would think immediately that he would. Maybe he doesn't now.
He definitely wants one of them back.
Yeah, I think especially if Braun-Duin casts Liliana.
Right.
You also kind of want to take care of Deathrite. So now you're going to see.
Ooh, you shut. Wow.
Ooh. So he wants to get that. He wants to get that land, and he maybe BBD induced here a little bit.
Yep.
tanked for a little while, activates the Deathrite Shaman. Gerry gonna blow the Nile Spellbomb, make it so that BBD cannot accelerate.
Right, but he still can cast that Liliana now, and Gerry's Maelstrom Pulse is going to get overtaxed here. It's his only interactive card in his hand right now. I think maybe should have kept one of those Abrupt Decays.
A little surprised by the land he gets too. He gets another Underground Sea. Does not get a green source.
That is strange. Then BBD does not have Wastelands. He's not playing. Oh no, Brian does have 2 Wastelands. Maybe he's playing around that.
That one is a little surprising to me.
Sure, there's a reason. Cast Maelstrom Pulse now.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a reason. I'm a little surprised that it's just not Tropical Island that he searches for. Or maybe the Bayou, but
yeah, I am equally surprised.
Now there's your Liliana in the veil.
Gerry may have misstepped a little bit here.
So Liliana probably going to go up. And what are we discarding?
Discarding the second Liliana. So Gerry now wishing that he had that. Wishing maybe he had a green source. Wishing maybe he had an Abrupt Decay. Getting rid of one of his 2 Brainstorms, keeping the Jace. That all makes sense here. That all checks out.
Brainstorm goes down. Untap, draw. Ancestral Vision. Brainstorm first turn?
I'm really not sure. I think maybe you need to try to you need to get something. You need to get like a discard spell here.
Alrighty then.
Okay, those are some good ones.
That's a very good Brainstorm. As you see, the draws there are Verdant Catacombs, Abrupt Decay, and Sower of Temptation.
So I think you're gonna put back Sower, and you're gonna put back probably Pulse.
Don't think you need Pulse anymore?
No. I think we're gonna. My line here would be to put back those 2, suspend the Ancestral Visions, and then Abrupt Decay the. Okay, it looks like I might just be completely wrong.
Well, continue your thought. If that's what you want to do, continue your thought.
And I'm not sure what I'm Abrupt Decaying though. But I would definitely be suspending this Ancestral Vision that looks like Gerry's putting back.
Yeah, maybe Gerry thinks that he can just get his card advantage through the Jace.
If we suspend the visions, we can't cast the.
You can't do both in one turn. Right. Now the question is, are you Abrupt Decaying on this turn? Alternatively, the question is, are you Abrupt Decaying? Are you letting him tick up the Liliana and then Abrupt Decaying? Are you happy discarding a card, making him discard a card? Or are you just saying, I got to Abrupt Decay this thing right now? Also,
I think you're Abrupt Decaying the Deathrite Shaman because your fear is that he resolves Jace first.
Really? Okay.
You're on the Jace plan now.
And you just don't, you don't care about Liliana that much. It sounds like to me that you don't.
Not if you have a Jason play.
Okay.
I think Brian's deck is not great at, okay, well, he does care about the Liliana.
Yeah, he does care about the Liliana. And I think the reason he might care about it is you take a look at Brian's deck list, you scan for number of Lilianas, 2.
Right.
None in the sideboard.
Sure.
He discarded 1. So now he doesn't have to worry about them anymore.
That's if Gerry brought in his, maybe he wants to kind of clean up his outs, so to speak, and make sure his can resolve. That could be the case. My thinking there, though, is really just playing a little more defensively around protecting your Jace.
Maybe sensing a little bit of weakness from Braun-Duin as his hand's not very good. He has a Source of Plowshares over there. He does not have a Jason. I'm not sure what the other cards are over there, but maybe sensing a little bit of weakness.
He has a Jit, which is doing nothing here.
Yeah, that's another card in his hand that is having little to no impact on this game.
I think he may have drawn Inquisition this turn, which will not do a lot because, again, Gerry here is going to go Wasteland, cast Jace. I mean, Gerry is in a good spot here, I think. Again, I mean, Gerry obviously has played his deck just much more than I have, so I think his lines are just going to be a lot better than many of mine.
He's going to add some mana. He's going to equip the Jit and pass the turn back. And if you're Gerry, you couldn't be happier.
Slam that Jason to play.
You could not be happier. Here's Jace. Yep. It's going to bounce that Deathrite Shaman, and you could not be happier with that being BBD's turn.
Brian on 3 lands. Draw.
Here's a Plains.
And what was that last card? It is
Swords over there. No, I can't make out that last card just yet.
It's the top one. Well, we'll find out at some point. It looks like it's
that.
It's another Deathrite Shaman.
And he's going to quit.
So now Gerry, if he draws, see if he still have that pulse. Oh, he does still have that pulse. Hand. This is going to be a little bit of a sickening turn. He's probably going to pulse and Wasteland, is my guess.
Starts with the Brainstorm. Jace, Deathrite Shaman, Creeping Tar Pit, I think, is the other card for him this turn.
He knows 2 things. One, he knows that Brian does not have a land in his hand because he missed the land drop. He knows that Brian does not have a Jace in his hand. Interesting. So he's choosing not to use the. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's giving Brian a 1-turn window to draw his own Jace here. Which does not end up happening.
And Brian, you see him pump.
He really wanted that Jace there. He knew that was his window. I would have actually just taken out the land to protect myself from Gerry's perspective, but it's very possible this is, it's an unnecessary risk.
You see Deathrite Shaman, number 3 from Brian. He's going to equip it with his OG and swords that Deathrite Shaman, get that out of here and pass the turn back. Gerry's going to, again, have free reign to brainstorm again, and we saw this in the other match here with Sarani. When Jace is left unchecked, it does start to dominate.
There's a backup one. Here, though, I think the brainstorming makes a lot more sense than it did with Shaheen. There's no reason to be plussing this guy.
And there's a brainstorm to start Gerry's turn. Bayou, Misty Rainforest, Tarmogoyf for the draws.
We'll probably see that Jace minus. Again, just keep him off of that active Jit. Put that Tarmogoyf into play. Get your own pressure onto the board.
Any merit to Fate Sealing here? Maybe Fate Seal. Maybe Fate Seal play Tarmogoyf. But
there's just no reason that the Jit get counters on it.
Okay.
You just want to stall that out as long as you can, especially when you have the shuffle effect now. So you get another fresh look at removal. You just want to find an abrupt decay.
Do you wasteland now? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep him off of Jace, as you said. Don't let that window be open. So there goes your Underground Sea.
Brian now on only 1 blue mana.
Draws a card.
Does draw the
Jace. Yeah.
This time at least Gerry has a second Jace, I believe, in hand. Or does Gerry not have a hand? No, Gerry put it back.
Yeah, Gerry put it back.
And
now he draws a card. Now he bounces that.
And here comes the second Jace.
Here comes your second Jace. And the Nightmare is here.
It's not, though, yeah, because Brian does have that Jace in hand. He finds a blue source. And Gerry does not know that.
That's true.
So if Brian finds a blue source, he is going to be able to get that Jace finally off the board.
All right.
That said, this Goyf probably pretty big.
Yeah, I can't imagine this is small. We'll get the Tarmogoyf die out there for you guys as well.
My guess is 4 or 5. And oops, well, okay,
no, 6, 7. I mean, there's a Planeswalker.
Oh, wait, there's a Liliana down there.
Yeah.
I didn't know there's an artifact, but I guess there is one hiding somewhere.
Braun-Duin, Swords.
Stoneforge Mystic.
Stoneforge or Swords?
I think it was Stoneforge Mystic, but yeah, Stoneforge Mystic, definitely. Not what he needs here.
So there's that. Time to go get the Batter Skull.
So Brian down to 12 life, facing down a Jace, a Tar Pit, and a huge Tarmogoyf. Even if he finds the blue mana now, that Jace Mind Skull is actually not his biggest problem anymore.
Yeah, now it's the Tar Pit.
Yeah.
I mean, the Tar Pit is a huge problem.
But the Goyf really
the Goyf, yeah, is problem number 1. That's a 6/7. You see Gerry being able to attack from multiple angles now.
Yep.
He's got the Planeswalker that is just going to start to dominate the game from a card advantage standpoint, or be able to prevent Braun-Duin from actually drawing something of relevance, and the Tarmogoyf attacking his life total. So you're going to see.
I like the way Gerry's. There are a couple of plays of Gerry's I didn't quite understand. I think the fetching of that land was aggressive.
Okay.
But other than that, I mean, I think Gerry's played this game really, really well.
Yeah, me too. You can definitely tell. I mean, he has the reps in with this deck.
He's had a lot of decisions to make because he's shuffled away cards 4 or 5 times now.
Yep.
And each one of those was a very committal decision. He had a branch in each time, and he could take the game in 2 different directions, and he just picked a way to go and gone there. So I mean, I think our life total is still a little bit out of sync. I think BBD is at 12.
Yeah, I think he should be at 12 because that big Tarmogoyf. I don't think he's gained any life.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Now Gerry deciding what to do. I suspect he will bounce the Deathrite Shaman, but he may just brainstorm here and try to get a little more action.
Well, I know what Shaheen would do.
Shaheen would brainstorm, but I like bouncing. This is the play I like more.
You want to bounce that Deathrite at any particular...
okay, so bouncing that one.
Stoneforge. Okay. Here's a Tar Pit. He's getting very, very aggressive now.
But why bounce the Stoneforge? Okay, because BBD has a Batter Skull in hand.
Yep.
Of course, that makes... Okay. I was thinking keeping him off the double blue.
Gerry plays another creeping Tar Pit.
BBD down to 3 with 2 Tar Pits in play and a huge Goyf. It'll be really hard for him to find an answer to this one.
He draws another Jace.
And that should be the game.
Yeah, as if BBD wants to, get counters on the Jet, that means he has to equip attack, so he has no blocker and it takes up his turn.
Yep, and then he'll just die to the Goyf hitting him as well. Obviously, he's double checking. He's making sure there's nothing he can do here to try to find an angle to stay in this game. But I think we're about to see a handshake. Oh wait,
we'll see him add some mana. There goes the Misty. There goes the Jace. Jaces are taken care of, and there's a handshake. So Gerry Thompson is moving on to the finals here. He's going to be playing against Shaheen Saroni, Shardless Bug. Moving on. He's been playing it for a while. He said it's better than regular Bug, and you see him having success with it and moving on to the finals of the Invitational, playing in Shaheen and his Esper Stoneblade deck.
Indeed, I think it's only fitting, that Gerry now must confront Lingering Souls after his open mockery of the card on Twitter last week. He and I got in a little a little friendly banter
Yeah.
back and forth about the souls, and